I'm Emily Mashak, and you're listening to Tuned Into NoCo, Town Square Media's show that lets you know what matters in NoCo. I'm talking today with Roxanne Batezel of the Northern Colorado Down Syndrome Association about the upcoming NoCo Down Syndrome Walk. So thank you so much for joining me, Roxanne.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Yes, I appreciate that.
Of course. Now, before we get into the walk that we're here to talk about today, could you just tell me a little bit more about the Northern Colorado Down Syndrome Association and your role there?
Okay. So this organization started in 2014, although there were smaller groups of parents that had gotten together long before that to support each other because they all were dealing with a family member that had Down syndrome or some form of Down syndrome. So I am a parent of a son who is 31 years old who has mosaic Down syndrome, which is a rare form of Down syndrome where only some of his cells have the extra chromosome. And I'm also a retired speech-language pathologist. So when you combine those two, I was very involved with trying to help get the NCDSA off the ground back in 2014. So that at this point, I'm the parent of Rob, and I'm involved on the walk committee. I help with some of their other activities, but I'm basically a parent who's trying to support other parents that are going through this.
Yeah, and since you've been involved with the organization, how have you seen it really impact the Northern Colorado community?
Well, I think there's a definite increase in the awareness of including our guys in a whole variety of activities. And I think more and more people are aware of what they can contribute to the community. And that when we are speaking about inclusion and beating that drum, we're talking not only about the neurotypical population, including our folks, but also realizing what our folks have to give to the community and to each person they come in contact with, how they can help them see the world differently and prioritize differently, understand what love really is, understand what acceptance is.
Would you be able to expand on that a little bit more? What do you think we can learn?
Well, I think for the most part, this isn't true, of course, I don't want to do a rash generalization, but many of our folks are very comfortable in their own skin, and they're comfortable with who they are. And so when we think of our adolescence or different times where someone's very upset about needing to have surgery on their chin or having some attribute that they are trying to work on, then you look at our guys who are like, this is who I am. And I'm working on getting better at running or math in school or whatever, but basically what you see is what you get. And I think that can really help as they impact other people in their areas of influence. I think if people can really learn from that and learn that they accept everybody, they are thrilled to be included. My son, if he got to throw the ball in a regular basketball game and maybe attempt 2 3-pointers, he owned that win just as much as the guy that made 10 shots. So, frequently the guy that made 10 shots was complaining that he didn't make his 11th shot. So when he'd hear my guy say, hey, wait a minute, those 10 shots were great, that kind of put things in perspective for him.
Yeah, well, that is so awesome. And now we're here today to talk about the event, the walk.
Right.
What do our listeners need to know? What's going on?
Well, it's on October 2nd at the ranch. This is our 5th Northern Colorado Down Syndrome Awareness Walk. And we are excited to be able to have it in person this year and are hoping all goes well with that. The deadline for registering was September 7th to get guaranteed a T-shirt. But no worries, you are still welcome to go on our site, the www.NoCoEventSolutions.com, and register or make a donation. You're also welcome to just show up at 9 o'clock that day, although we don't recommend that as much as we do going on the site and registering early. But we won't turn anybody away. We want to increase the awareness of Down syndrome in this area and include you and your family in the walk if you can join us.
And now that this is the fifth walk, how have you seen it, and how will this event benefit the Northern Colorado community?
Well, we've made some big inroads in these last several years, and one of the most exciting things that's happened because of our parade, we had to do individual team walks and a car parade last year because of COVID, but people were still very generous. We raised close to $20,000, and we were able to do our first I Can Bike camp, not only for our folks that had Down syndrome, helping them learn to ride without training wheels or get on a bike, period. That was a big step for a lot of them. But we also included other folks with other disabilities that had been having trouble getting those bike skills under control. So we were very excited to be able to offer that. We also offer scholarships to our family members for anything from special strollers or running strollers or therapies. We've helped some families go have horse therapy when their insurance won't cover it, or different materials and equipment that they haven't been able to get with insurance. So we try to really give back to our folks and to the community as much as we can with the funds that are raised with this event. And this is our main fundraiser through the year.
Now, this event is about awareness. What do you think our listeners need to be more aware of when it comes to individuals with Down syndrome and their families?
I think that they really need to focus on how our guys are people first. And they are just like you are. They want to lead productive lives. They want to have a purpose in life. They want to be able to go to parks and be on sports teams just like every other kid in the city. And that's what we're trying to get across with the awareness activities that we do. That if you come alongside us, whether it's in the classroom or on a sports team or with the walk, you'll see that we're people first. And I think as you understand that more, then it's not so much the Down syndrome child as this is a child that happens to have Down syndrome but loves hiking and loves soccer or whatever, so that they could really see him or her as a person first.
Right. And now clearly the walk and this organization have greatly impacted the community. But in your time there, and I'm sure some of these are probably with your son as well, but do you have any specific stories that have really stuck out to you of when you've seen this organization really make a difference in someone's life?
Well, I think watching the family that loves hiking, that's because of one of our scholarships, able to get the special backpack so the 7-year-old can ride on Dad's back and still participate with the family going hiking. Hearing stories of some of our families where the child loves horses, the family wasn't able to afford horse therapy, but because of one of our generous folks giving them a scholarship, the child was able to have several months of horse therapy. I think more and more of our folks are working in more and more different venues in the city, different stores, different companies, and people are realizing that they have a lot to offer and a lot to bring to the table when they do get those jobs. So I think the whole inclusion piece is just really huge for us. We have different workshops on it. We're more than happy to talk to any company, talk to people that are interested in seeing how they can plug our folks in. We're thrilled that some of our families have just started businesses that mainly employ folks that have either Down syndrome or another disability, and folks are coming and coming to that shop or that food truck or whatever, and getting to meet some of our people. So I think the community, Fort Collins is such a family-friendly community. The Park and Recreation Department is incredible, with so many different opportunities for our people and for folks that have far more severe physical disabilities. Spring Creek Canyon Park was set up specifically to handle, to make it fun for children with all different kinds of disabilities. And so we're fortunate to live in a community that already is pretty savvy about accepting and including people of all different levels.
And for listeners who maybe don't have as much experience with this world or aren't as savvy as they could be, what would your advice be for how they can be more inclusive going forward?
Okay.
Or in their day-to-day lives?
Okay, so if you're running a business and you have the opportunity to consider hiring somebody who has a disability, whether it's Down syndrome or whatever the disability is, I would really encourage you to think outside the box and consider doing that. When that's happened with my son, I know that there was one situation where the employer had never worked with anybody with any issues and was leery of hiring him for a 2-month summer job and it not working out. And the friend that was trying to broker this situation, I said, the way to set it up is give him 1 day. If the man is willing to work with Robin for 1 day, he will know whether or not this is a realistic situation for both of them. And so he worked with him for 1 day, and then he worked the 2 months during the summer. So I think our folks usually can sell themselves. It doesn't take too long for people to realize how guileless they are, what hard workers they are, how they want to finish the job, and how they'll do whatever they can to please their employer or teacher or whatever. So I think if you could just give them a chance and see them as people first and see their heart, then that will be a real blessing to you.
Well, I'm sure many of our listeners are feeling inspired to get involved, and I know that one of the top ways they can do that is with the walk. But are there other opportunities with the NoCo Down Syndrome Association? Can they volunteer or donate?
Yes, if they can go to this website, they can go to the NoCo.eventsolutions.com to donate or register. And then I don't know, I think there is a spot on that as well. They can go to our regular NoCo Down Syndrome website and say, hey, I'd like to volunteer. Are you still looking for volunteers? Because I can tell you we are still looking for volunteers for the event, and we have other events like our Christmas party and pool parties that we're always looking for people that want to join in and help support the event. When we do the I Can Bike or the I Can Swim camps, we needed many volunteers because it was a full week, and we just needed a lot of people since each biker needed 1 or 2 people to help them for their session. So we are always looking for volunteers, and we are more than happy to find something that would fit for you.
Perfect. Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming in and talking to me today. It was great to learn about the walk and your organization. Is there anything else you would like listeners to know?
I guess I keep beating the same drum. I think when you walk into Walmart or McDonald's or or into your son's classroom and you meet one of our folks, I just encourage you to give them a chance and get to know them for the incredible people that they are.
Well, thank you again, Roxanne. It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate the opportunity to do this.
Again, that was Roxanne Batezel with the Northern Colorado Down Syndrome Association talking about the upcoming NoCo Down Syndrome Walk. You can register for the walk at nocodownsyndrome.org.